Okay, cloudy day today. It looks like it could rain any second, but we'll see. What did I read today? Actually, I was seeing more ads about that Transport Canada stuff, trying to, I guess, tell people to register their drones and stuff like that for some reason. I guess they're anticipating more people want them for Christmas. So you can see in this ad here, it says, drone on your wish list? Register your drone. Get your drone pilot certificate and know where to fly. And it basically implies if you're buying it as a gift, make sure you register it. And as usual, what is the public reaction to it? And by the looks of it, overwhelmingly, it seems like a lot of people are just mocking it and so forth when you look at the actual responses. For example, some people saying, after the course, I can fly helicopters. And he's saying, like, seriously, it's a drone. A lot of people implying it's just to make money out of people, like saying anything to scam a buck. And then people posting forums like this one just says no. More people just calling out Transport Canada saying, we know it's a money grab, stop making it so obvious. Whereas some people say, please fix the study material. Make one study guide, make the test material relevant to drone operations. It's like over and over again, it's kind of like an echo chamber in that case. I mean, what's the delay? You spend all this time and money with these, in my opinion, kind of useless advertisements. You could be using that to actually fix what's wrong with the whole system in general. That seems to be the overwhelming majority of responses. Basically, people are really cynical over the regulations. They don't really agree with it. But even with the information, it seems like everyone's just confused overall, unless you're literally like a person like myself who reads and follows the stuff all the time. Like here it says, the thing is that under 250 grams, you still have to comply to all the rules except registration and license, which isn't technically true because you can do a lot more. Like the guy says here, you can fly them in a lot more spaces recreationally than you can with the things you gotta register. And he says who? Where is it officially stated? I mean, that is how it is. Like the smaller drones in that case, you can fly it in most places, you have more flexibility, but it just shows you how confused people are. It kind of relates to what I said during their safety day stuff, which I thought it was a colossal failure. It seemed like they're going to confuse people about things like the minis, the ones that are less than 250 grams, where technically you can fly it in most places but just be safe. But the way they wrote it, it's almost like, nope, you have to follow everything as if you're under the basic license, which isn't true. So with that thought, I was reading some articles today which kind of, I guess, encompasses everything together. How a lot of people are just simply misinformed. They don't really understand the drone laws because they're so confusing when people think it's all about safety and all that. Where at the same time, it shows you why there's so much, I guess, fear and hysteria in many ways when it comes to media. This one here says, drone interfering with local air traffic, say police. Drones cannot fly 5.6 kilometers, 3 nautical miles from airports without obtaining permission. Police say they responded to a complaint about a drone flying in the West Ferris area of the city Saturday morning. Around 12 p.m. on Saturday, November 21st, an officer responded to a complaint of a drone interfering with air traffic. It was reported to be flying in the area of West Ferris Arena. The officer was not able to locate the drone or the person responsible. Schultz points out that drones cannot fly 5.6 kilometers or 3 nautical miles from airports without obtaining permission. You need a drone pilot license to fly drones that weigh 250 grams up to and including 25 kilograms. You need to be 14 years old to get a basic license, 16 years old to get an advanced license, and children younger than 14 must be supervised by someone with a license. And telling you how the fines could be $1,000. I would imagine a regular person reading this, they'll see it as, holy, what an irresponsible person who flies near the airport and all that. Could have took down a helicopter, an airplane, etc., correct? That's what creates basically things like the fear and animosity towards things like someone who flies a drone. And then these two comments, I guess, kind of shows how a lot of people are just, again, so confused, or at the same time, very uneducated, I guess you could say, in terms of what a drone is and what they classify as a drone, like Transport Canada. Like this person here first says, these drones should never be put in the hands of people who are not authorized, and no kids should have them, ever. Don't we have enough handheld contraptions invading all our private lives without this thing? It's like living with the threat of a peeping Tom every day. Can you get more stereotypical than this? I mean, to people like this, unfortunately, if all you do is just listen to all the mainstream media sources, the sensational stories, and like in this case, you don't actually look into it, a lot of this stuff has been in existence for years. For example, people who fly things like those model aircrafts. But yes, there are these things that are tiny. They were designed for, you guessed it, kids. They're really small. They're meant to be flown for fun. I don't think that's gonna take down an airplane, for example, if you can even reach to that height wherever the heck they're flying with drones like this. So a lot of people, you just need to be a little bit more open-minded. Now, this person seemed like he was a little bit more open-minded and thinking along the lines of what's so dangerous about this, especially with the title. It implies, again, someone was flying, let's just say, near a plane or something like that. This guy says, I measured from the front door of the arena to the street turn to the airport as 7.57 kilometers more than far enough, and that is straight as an arrow according to Google Maps. That makes sense for a regular person. You're looking at the map saying, hey, it's so far away from the airport, especially if it's supposed to be 5.6 kilometers, for example, away from the airport. What's the big deal? The guy's so far away, right? So I did a quick research about that area around there, and you can see while it is really far away from the airport, like what the person says, it's within a controlled airspace. So you can see here is the North Bay, Ontario controlled zone airspace, basic RPAS operations not allowed. And to my understanding, it says this one's a Class E. So you can see the confusion there with people where you keep reading stuff like this, saying what, just stay away 5.6 kilometers or whatever away from the airports. What's wrong with that? But people aren't aware. Look at the huge restriction that people usually have, which brings up the point too. If the person, let's just say, was flying, like, what is this? It says it's an arena. I'm not from the area, so maybe people that know this better would be better to say, hey, was it dangerous or not? That is a huge difference. If someone's actually flying up there with the helicopters and planes and all that, versus, let's just say, again, someone flying maybe, I don't know, 10 to 20 meters on the ground where they're technically in that airspace. And even other articles that talked about this same story. Like this one says, advisory issued after drone complaint in West Ferris. It makes you wonder, are these complaints just due to someone who just hates the drone in general? For all those people who fear that it's spying on you and all that? Or was it legitimately doing something dangerous? Same story, even with that site, people are just confused. Like this person said, surely West Ferris is more than 5.6 kilometers from an airport. Some people say, I believe helipads are included as well. Hospital, Canadore, and not sure where else. It says the south side of Trout Lake is East Ferris. I think the air base may be within 5.6 kilometers, but Trout Lake is also a float plane base. This one's actually also interfering with training aircraft. But some people are skeptical though. It says, so really, a total non-issue as it wasn't anywhere near 6 kilometers from an airport. Someone has a hate on for drones. Again, to me, it just shows you how everyone is basically confused. Unless you really take your time, read this stuff all the time, I suppose, like what I do, you'll probably be wondering, what, people aren't doing anything wrong, or vice versa. Everyone thinks a quote drone is, say, a large DJI one or something like that. Everyone's completely misinformed. That's a complete failure, in my opinion, from Transport Canada's side. It just shows you what happens when you commercialize this stuff. But the only thing it did, in my opinion, was it didn't promote safety, it promoted people charging hundreds of dollars for these ridiculous courses. And yes, for those who don't know, there was a drone that crashed into a helicopter, but it was done by the RCMP here in Canada. So it brings up the point again, if anyone ever wants to say, oh, it's because of these recreational guys why you have these regulations, I think you should do your research, just because from what I see so far, it seems like it has more to do with people trying to commercialize the whole thing in general. Otherwise, things like that crash would have been made a huge deal, but it wasn't. Alright, see you guys later.